It is a public knowledge, and if not, then most of the Kenyans know that the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua launched his DCP party, that is a Democracy for the Citizens Party, yesterday. And there are a lot of things. When you look at the logo, is about the ear and the palm of the hand, suggesting that they are listening to the people. Now, if you follow keenly through the speech of Rigathi Gachagua, he said that we've been having a nation where leaders have not been listening to the grievances of the common mwananchi, and that is basically true in a nation whereby retrogressiveness has been a big role played by the government, while greed also takes over them as they enrich themselves while the citizens are languishing in abject poverty.
Following the need for social change, economic transformation, and political reimagination of our nation, I bring forth my response to the call by millions of Kenyans from across our nation who have called on us to rise to the occasion for a voice of reason and a listening ear, a right they have been denied for far too long.
Deep down, as we take these analyses, the question is, we all want to have Ruto become a one-term president, and even if possible, he should have left that seat by now. It is long overdue. The Ruto must go theme or a song or a phrase is something that is long overdue. We are tired with the oppressive regime. Now, the question is, as much as we want William Samoei Ruto out of this government, do we just want to replace William Samoei Ruto with anybody? Or do we want to replace Ruto with a competitive soul, a competitive character, someone of great intelligence, someone of integrity, someone who will not divide this nation along tribal lines? These are the questions that we really need to sit down as Kenyan and ask ourselves what we really want in a leader. Because Maraga came, people said he was not a strong candidate to fight for the presidency with William Samoei Ruto. We had other people come, and we saw, or the public analogy was that they were not strong candidates to fight William Samoei Ruto. Then there comes Matiang'i, and people were like, yes, this is the person who can fight Ruto. There comes Gachagua and is like, yes, this one is also a strong candidate to fight Ruto.
Kenyans have told us boldly to form a political party that will form an inclusive and a listening government, a government for the people, by the people.
Now, in the definition of politics, who is the strong candidate that can fight it out with William Samoei Ruto? Now, this is not a general definition of politics, which is the fight for power to control resources, who gets what, when, why, and how. No, this is in the context of Kenyan politics, and to be very specific, in the realm of the presidential candidates. Now, the person who seems to draw more crowds and convince more crowds is the person who is always seen as a strong candidate in the Kenyan politics. Whereas we have such a person, we saw Rigathi Gachagua drawing crowds in whatever place he visits in Mount Kenya. We saw Matiang'i drawing crowds in whatever place he visits back in Kisiland. But do we have that person who will draw those crowds across the nation, not in specific areas where their kings and tribesmen are placed? Now, going by that definition, oh yes, we are going to have Rigathi Gachagua in the ballot. We are going to have Matiang'i in the ballot. They are worthy competitors in this context. Now, Let us go back in the issues that Kenyans are fighting for. A very understanding regime, a regime that doesn't burden the taxpayer with overtaxation, a burden that can use the little it has to create a financial bill that shall sail through a presidential term that will stabilize the economy and not the business person and the common mwananchi shall cry. An economy that is going to stabilize the education system, the economy that is going to make sure the health system and medical care is given good attention without going deeper into a citizen's pocket in contribution of social authority schemes like the She and Sha. You understand it? Right now, we are crying. Issues of extrajudicial killings, issue of state-sanctioned abductions, and all right, the other day, the president just said, either in absentia of his trail of thought or knowingly, that even those who were abducted, finally, they were released to their families. The question is, Mr. President, who are those who abducted our citizens? Who are those that abducted our children? Who are those that abducted our brothers, our uncles? We need to know, and the culprits should be brought to book. The problem is the government machineries, and no action will be taken under the watch of William Samuel Ruto, who has otherwise been a pathological liar and a person who has been giving so much of unfulfilled promises. Basically, greater percentage of what he speaks is lies. He is never consistent. Do we have a leader who will be much better than Ruto? I talk of the faults of Matiang'i, him as the interior CS. We saw what happened under his watch. Has justice happened to date? Nothing has happened. And we all know that Matiang'i is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta's proxy. He's vying actually through the Jubilee Party. You understand it? Let's look at Gachagua. All right. Gachagua, yes, we say is an option. But do you know why we welcome Gachagua, the people of great minds such as mine here? Because Gachagua was giving us the gist of the secrets the states had been hiding from the public domain. That is not to say that Gachagua is the best option. Then again, I beg the question again. What is our interest? Having Ruto out first, then thinking later the type of leader that we have chosen, or thinking the type of leader we want and replacing him with Ruto? Because, to be honest, for now, as I see it, to be honest, Kenyans are so much concerned about replacing William Samuel Ruto with whichever leader they can find. The number one priority, the number one agenda is having him out. And if we are to follow the so-called democratic process to throw Ruto out, it means we have to elect someone. So my plea is, even as we are pushing this narrative of Ruto must go and Ruto one term, Arambe one term, we really need to sit back and ask ourselves these questions that I've asked through the video. That whom are we replacing with Ruto? Or whom are we replacing Ruto with? That is the question. I'd rather ask it that way. Because we don't want to be getting from fun to direct fire. That's what we've been doing. And it is repeating itself. People will be singing Gachagua, Gachagua, Gachagua. You know, Gachagua is a mobilizer. Gachagua is a movement. He'd rather be in the movement part other than being the president himself. I know for sure Gachagua can make the better person who can keep this government in checks and balances. But he's one person that when he's on that seat, trust me, him and Ruto, we are not gonna see any difference. Most probably there will not be abductions, but some force will still be used towards hiding certain information. You know, they do say the quote unquote, it's not an abuse. Swahili says ashakum sio matusi. Nyani ni yule, misitu ndio imebadilika. The same monkeys, but in a different forest. These are people of the same character. They are reading from the same script of the political elite. At the end of the day, they'll do whatever it takes to protect themselves. Therefore, let us work so hard. Let us burn the midnight candle to make sure that at least we get leaders. Like, I'm so happy about what Peter Salasya is doing. If we get more of that, then we shall have options. The question is, Kenyans, will you be able to support leaders like Salasya if they come up and they want to run for the presidency, rather than having people who back then had already betrayed us, people who have questionable characters, questionable integrity? What's your thought? Give me your take in the comment section below. If you're watching from our YouTube channel and you love content of this nature, kindly subscribe and press the notification button so anytime that we are live, you are the very first person to be notified, or even any other time that we upload our content. Ahmed Khalif is my name for the Unscripted Talks here in Dab Radio. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuhu.
Kwa timba kali za Afrika, Dab Radio ndio mpango mzima.